You know, when scientists scan the universe for alien life, they aren't exactly looking for, like, random noise.
Right. They want a signal.
Exactly. A signal so highly structured, it just couldn't possibly come from the natural chaos of the cosmos. Like, it has to be from the outside.
Yeah, from the outside.
Sure.
And well, today we have a really fascinating deep dive into a source transcript
Hmm.
that is actually trying to pull off that exact same search, but using philosophy.
Which is wild.
It is. It's this intense dialogue between a human user and an AI. And they are tracing this huge logical framework to find ultimate objective truth with a capital T.
And just to be super clear up front for everyone listening, we are just mapping out the math of this user's argument today. We aren't taking theological sides or endorsing any specific worldview.
Right? We're just unpacking how they build this logical sequence. So the user actually starts by backing the AI into a corner.
Oh, yeah, I love this part.
Yeah, the AI basically admits its own programming.
Yeah.
Valuing things like fairness and diversity of thought isn't actually an objective universal law.
Right, it's just a modern human bias.
Exactly. So the user argues that real truth cannot be constructed by humans at all. It has to originate from whatever created humans.
But see, that creates a massive bottleneck. Because if this ultimate truth exists completely outside the human experience, then human language is just structurally incapable of capturing it.
Right.
I mean, I struggle with this part of the source a bit. Because if truth is totally independent of us, isn't the very statement, truth isn't made by humans, still trapping it in our language?
I see what you mean.
It's kind of like trying to describe a brand new invisible spectrum of light, but you only have the words red and blue.
Right. You literally lack the vocabulary to even have the conversation.
Yeah.
Well, that limitation is exactly why ancient philosophies hit a wall.
Yeah.
Like the transcript mentions Taoism's idea that the Tao that can be spoken is not the eternal tower.
Meaning the moment you put words to it, you ruin it.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
You shrink it down to a human size. And it's the same with the Hindu concept of Brahman. It's viewed as the ultimate formless reality that defies human categorization entirely.
Because our brains and words are just too small.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the user concludes we can't reason our way up to truth. The truth has to be beamed down to us, like a revelation.
Okay, so we need that structured signal beamed from space. But the source brings up the law of non-contradiction here, which is just that if two beliefs clash, they can't both be true.
Right.
So how do we verify which revelation is the actual non-human signal when human history is just full of them?
Well, the user sets up this incredibly ruthless filter. They argue a genuine outside transmission wouldn't just offer, like, good life advice. It would have to solve humanity's two fatal, inescapable bugs.
Which they define as moral failure or sin and death. But wait, why those two specifically? Like, why not suffering or ignorance?
Because those are the two barriers humans are completely powerless to fix from the inside. Like, we can cure diseases and educate away ignorance, but human nature still trends toward corruption.
Right.
Well, 100% mortality rate is just hard-coded into our biology. So the user argues that only the actual programmer of the system can patch bugs that deep in the code.
I actually love the tech analogy here. It's like if my phone constantly crashes and wipes my data, most human philosophies act like tech support, saying, accept the crashes, it's part of the phone's journey.
Oh, yeah, or like reframe the crash as a return to the natural energy grid.
Exactly. But the user isn't looking for a coping mechanism. They are demanding a completely rewritten operating system that actually stops the crashing altogether.
Which brings us to the climax of the logic chain. The user insists that just claiming to have this new operating system isn't enough. There has to be physical historical proof that the patch was successfully installed in the real world.
Like, not as a myth, but a verifiable event.
Right, an event you could technically date. And this is where the user applies that filter to world religions, eventually isolating Christianity.
Okay, walk me through the mechanics of that conclusion, though. Why discount the others?
It comes down to how each tradition handles that death bug we just talked about. The text points out that in Buddhism, the Buddha passed away. Death remained the natural end. In Islam, Muhammad did not physically resurrect. And in Judaism, the fulfillment through the Messiah is still a future expectation.
So the user isolates Christianity because it's the only one claiming its central figure was actually executed, buried, and then physically walked out of a grave in recorded history.
Exactly. For this user, a literal resurrection is the required, verifiable signature of a non-human truth.
This whole sequence is wild because it takes something we usually treat as purely emotional, like spirituality, and just forces it through this rigid, step-by-step logical gauntlet.
It really does. It completely changes the criteria from what feels true to what can survive this brutal process of elimination.
Yeah. And for you listening, whether you buy that final conclusion or not, it forces you to ask what would actually count as proof of the impossible.
It's a huge question.
It is, but it leaves me with this one thought I just can't shake. The user's whole premise rests on needing historical evidence of an impossible non-human event. Well, what happens to our grasp on reality when AI, which is another non-human intelligence, inevitably starts generating its own flawless, indistinguishable historical evidence?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, if the signal from space can be perfectly deepfaked, how will you ever know what's real? Keep questioning, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.